Okay, probably, maybe, I don't know, the last video for 2021. I'm going to do something a little bit easy and fun and hopefully interesting for anybody. I'm going to do my top 10 most worn of all time. So I I know what I've worn the most all time because I record this on bass notes, and like I'm a perfume nerd and I record everything I wear. And it was interesting when I saw what the top 10 were, and I can tell you that it's mainly designer bottles, which I guess is not that surprising. But I'm not going to go through them in any particular order, other than just, I guess, group them a little bit. I want to start off with Lagerfeld Classic, or yeah, it's called Lagerfeld Classic now. I think it used to be called Lagerfeld Cologne. Now, this is a current version or a newer version, and this one's made by Parfums, and at various times during its existence since 1978, it's been owned by different parent companies. Now, I actually have the story behind this is that this was the first perfume I owned when I only used to wear perfume, one perfume. So it's natural that this is my all-time most worn. But I want to talk about really the fact that I've got a decant of a vintage, or at least an older version of Lagerfeld Cologne. And yes, there are some differences to my nose, but mainly in the strength, because I do remember this being really, really a really strong perfume. But the when I wear this, the essence is the same. Like this is still Lagerfeld Cologne to me. It has all the elements there that are imprinted in my memory from that first bottle I had in the 80s. And I'm more than happy with this one. I actually probably prefer the fact that it is a bit softer these days. I do like how they've managed to make a perfume that's marketed to men pretty much, but make it a very powdery perfume. It's spicy in the opening. There's a bit of orange tobacco thing going on, aldehydes, and then it gets very, very powdery. But I absolutely love this perfume, and I can't ever imagine being without it. And it's survived my decluttering of 2021, and it will probably always be with me. The next four that I want to talk about is, I guess I could categorize these as four classic masculine marketed fragrances, and they were easily going to be in my top 10. Fahrenheit, which I've also owned. Probably it was the next perfume that I owned after the Lagerfeld back in the 80s, early 90s. And this is also a current version, or a newer version at least. I think this is a 2015 bottle. And again, I have been able to smell this and compare it to vintages, and even to even to newer versions. Look, Fahrenheit's always going to be Fahrenheit to me. Like Lagerfeld Classic, it's retained its identity. If like, might have lost a bit of weight, might have put on a bit of weight, grown a beard, I don't know, but it's always going to be Fahrenheit. And again, like Lagerfeld, I can't ever imagine being without this. And I also have, like, I guess, a sentimental association with it, in that when my daughter was actually quite young, she picked Fahrenheit out as a gift for me, like not knowing that I'd had it before. And she was only young and she smelled perfumes, and Fahrenheit was what she liked the best, and she picked that out for me. Guerlain Heritage, this is the EDT. This basically was my gateway to Guerlain, to the House of Guerlain. This is the first one I tried. I don't know if people start off with, other classics. I mean, because this is quite, I guess, a late classic for Guerlain. Came out in '92. This is, again, a current version in the modern day bottle. But this is very... I wore this recently, and I think I've mentioned this in a recent video, how much... Because I have worn this a lot, obviously, but sometimes I take it for granted when I wear it. I think there are some perfumes where I just take for granted the fact that they're good and they're going to work. The last time I wore this, maybe I was bored and I paid extra attention to the perfume, and I just couldn't believe how wonderful the dry down is in this. And I think it is the sandalwood accord that's in the dry down mixed in with all the other stuff that's going on here. But I'm just in love with the dry down of Heritage EDT. The other two classics from Chanel, and I did, again, like Guerlain, these were my gateway to Chanel. The first one was actually Egoist, modern day version of a 1990s classic, and I have Antaeus, which is, again, a modern day version of the 1981 release. I have been able to smell vintage Antaeus. I prefer the modern. I don't know if I've smelled older Egoist, but I'm more than happy with this one. They are both so different, released 10 years apart, but... And you know what? I'm still not enough of a Chanel aficionado to smell these and go, oh yeah, they're very Chanel. Also, I tried these before I tried anything from the Allure Homme line or the Allure line or Bleu de Chanel. These are the two masculine marketed ones that I really like from Chanel. I'm not a big fan of those other lines, and some Les Exclusives, but Egoist and Antaeus are in my top 10 all-time most worn. Now we talk about a few niche perfumes. Ombre Russe, this is most worn, even though this is a new bottle. I went through like a 30ml decant of this perfume. It was one of my early introduction into niche perfumery, and I may as well introduce the other one. I mean, Timbuktu really kickstarted where I am now. Like, I'm probably not doing this video if it wasn't for Timbuktu, if that makes sense, because I've written about it, talked about it. Timbuktu, even though it's probably not even my favorite L'artisan anymore, this really was the first time I smelled a perfume and realized what perfume could be, and there on in, there was lots of blind buying and sampling, and it continues today. But this is still around in my wardrobe. I still enjoy wearing it along with Ombre Russe. And this one here, it's interesting because 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain from Diptyque was my second Diptyque. I did have a bottle of Tam Dao before, but this is kind of still, probably at the moment, Oud Palau is my favorite from this house, but I never cease to wonder at the beauty of this perfume. This is the original EDT version. I think there's a low version and there's a Eau de Parfum version now. If like I had to make a perfume dictionary and I put a picture of a perfume next to the words beautiful, it would be 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain. All right, getting down to my last two, and I wanted to put these two together because these, more than those perfumes, I have worn the most. It's probably not going to be too hard to guess that 1740 Marquis de Sade from Histoires de Parfum, and Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum, the original 2012 version. Again, I got through a large decan of this before. I was lucky enough to find this 50 ml bottle of a 2012 batch, in fact. These two perfumes probably could sum up my perfume personality, if you like. They're as close to signatures as probably I would let myself get. I very much identify with these perfumes. You know, I know there's people that identify these perfumes with me. What I like about them is their contrast. They're both like, you know, strong perfumes. They're both statement perfumes, but you know, where Eau Sauvage is probably a little bit the more polite, refined Dr. Jekyll. Histoires de Parfum is my Mr. Hyde side, and a little bit naughty. And yes, so they are my top 10 most worn perfumes of all time. I'll probably do this video again in a couple of years' time if I'm still doing videos. And it'd be interesting to see if anything changes, because I can't see, I still love all of these perfumes. I still can't see myself at any point getting sick of them or not wearing them. So I don't expect to see new perfumes like overtake them as most worn unless I absolutely fall in love with something and wear the shit out of it. But that's it for this video. I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you all soon. And if I don't see you, well, I definitely won't see you before Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. I might see you before New Year's. So have a good one. Bye.